And today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Today, you guys are going to be the hiring managers. So we're going to give you five real world hiring scenarios. And before we tell you what we would do, um, you're going to tell us, are they hired or fired, right? I want to make sure you guys aren't influenced by what we would say or do. So just going to give you a couple seconds and give you a scenario, and you decide hired or fired. Now, full transparency, Lindsay and I have not prepared for this, so you'll get the full, authentic experience of when we don't agree on hired or fired.
I
Um,
ha I have to ask you, do you think we're gonna agree on some of these or disagree on some of these? I know I'm more quick to be like, not doing it. So what do you think?
I think I think we're pretty in sync at this point, so we'll be in like, but you know what? That's kind of hiring is messy. So it is very normal to have a hired and fired scenario, even in interviewing. And I think even for us, right? Sometimes we need a tiebreaker, to make sure we could come up with a decision. Um,
I will say one of the things, just so everybody knows, one of the things like when we interview, because interview panel style a lot of times together, and we have like codes when we're interviewing to indicate to the other person, like, hey, so we use green, red, and yellow, like where we stand with the candidate through the interview process. And so that's like our way of being like, hey, I'm kind of on the fence on this person, I'm not sure that I'm really bought into it, and we might continue the interview a little bit longer. If we're both like a red, we might go ahead and tie the interview up some. And green is like, hey, I'm really liking this person. And sometimes it's like, I'm a red, I'm a green. And we're like going through the interview, giving this person more time to see if the other person changes their mind. Because we don't always agree, like you said. Like sometimes you need a tiebreaker.
I will say when you're a red and I'm a green, I'll try and ask the questions that would maybe like change your mind. You're
Yeah.
like, okay, what are the concerns? And if I know the concerns that you have at that moment, it's like I'll try and change questions to be like, okay, what are the answers? And sometimes it works because you're like, okay, like I see it, I can move on with this candidate. And sometimes like, oh no, wait, I turned myself red, never
Yeah.
mind. So it
Yeah.
can work both ways.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, so round one, the candidate everyone loves, but they're late. The candidate's 10 minutes late. They called ahead. There's a legitimate accident. They apologize, and the interview is phenomenal. Hired or fired?
I almost answered. I gotta get the audience time.
Go ahead.
That one's hard because usually, if it was me doing first round interviews or anything like that, or inviting somebody to the interview, they would have never walked in that interview. I am such a sucker for like, if you didn't show up or you were late, like it's unexcusable to me. I think it's because, like, whenever I have interviews, now it's been a long time since I've been in interviews, and usually I had to be in person for those interviews, and I was there an hour early, and I sat in a local place near. Now I lived out in the middle of nowhere, so that local place maybe me hiding like down the road at a gas station or whatever, but like I would be within like 2 to 3 minutes of that location, just waiting for the time, and I always showed up 15 minutes early. Part of that is my dad has this like time obsession, and so like now I have this time obsession about being late and stuff. So for me, they would have never made it into the interview, so that one's hard for me. Um, I if they make it into the interview, because I know that you usually will let them into the interview, and I'm like, cut them. Like we had somebody who like had to reschedule a Zoom, and I was like, I'm not hiring that person. I don't even think we hired that person because I cannot get past that like accountability and punctuality. And I know that things happen. And I would want people on the other side to be forgiving of me. It's so hypocritical. I understand that. So it would be really hard for me to get past it. But if they like really, really nailed that and it was like a true 10 out of 10, and those follow-up questions were like, what's the next step? Where do we go from here? When can I? And they drove that ending. I might be forgiving. I don't know. What about you? I mean, I already kind of gave the hint that you typically will let people into the interview where I'm like, X them, cut them
You
out.
know, I think that communication matters to me more than the mistake, right? I think there's often times where things just happen, things truly just happen. And it just, I feel like sometimes it's like that Murphy's Law, right? Where it's like, if one thing goes wrong, all other things will go wrong as well. And so I don't know. I think punctuality in an interview is not necessarily a deal breaker for me, just because I understand that people are oftentimes in a transition period when they're interviewing, right? So they might have kiddos at home, they might be working, depending on what their job is, like an emergency might have come up. I think sometimes we've interviewed physicians where they're like, oh, I got called in, I have to go. So I feel like the situation matters, but the communication matters most to me, because that to me is going to be indicative of how you're going to handle a situation that comes up once you're working with us. So if there's no communication, there's no follow through. Um, yeah, I think like you said, they probably wouldn't make it in through the interview process, right? But if you took the steps to be proactive, and especially if you live in an area where maybe the commute is super crazy, it's like, yeah, I can see how that happened. So I I wouldn't be immediately to be like fired. I'd be like, well, what's the context?
I know I have learned through working with you to be a little more patient about things. And that is one of those things I try to be super understanding. And I think I even asked you, like, what was the situation? Did they communicate? Because I know how important that is. And I already know that you got all that information and that you will be like, they didn't communicate. Like, I'm not doing this, or like, yeah, they communicated. But yeah, before I would have totally been like, not happening. And it's so funny because there are several times in the past that I have been like, not in the interviews, but like people have been like, oh, would you interview this person still? They did X, Y, and Z. Like they called in, they had to reschedule. And I'm like, no. And some of my favorite people I've ever worked with were those people that would have never made it to an interview with me. But because I wasn't the interviewer, they got in and they got hired, and I was super good friends. And I would tell them, like, if that was me, you would never have been here. Like, you would not have made it to the seat.
You would not have made it.
And I want people to be forgiving. I'm so sorry, world. I literally am so sorry, but it's just like my knee jerk reaction. I know it's so bad. Okay. All right, what's scenario number two?
Round two, the perfect resume, awkward interview. Resume is incredible, experience is perfect, but during the interview, this candidate is nervous, stumbles, over answers, and doesn't really sell themselves. Are they hired or fired? Go ahead.
You want me to go to first?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's going to depend on how the interview goes. When I can tell that someone is nervous, I try to be like a little more relaxed, a little more goofy. I said this before, like I'll ask really silly questions and see if I can like connect with them. I'm an avid reader, so sometimes I'll like mention books and see if they like to read. And if they're like, oh no, I don't typically read, I might be a little over dramatic and be like, ah, you're killing me, Smug. Like, why would that be the case? Like I'm just trying to get them to kind of relax because I need to see if they can articulate themselves, if they can really explain what they're doing. I also will do things like volley the answers to them. Like I'll ask it in a way that will like open it up for them to like really sell themselves. And if they just cannot get over that hump, then I kind of look back and I'm like, what kind of person do I need in this position? Like if it's
Right.
more entry level and this person was really good on paper and I feel like they have the ability, if they could just be like coached and trained, I still might be a yes. But if we're talking like a higher level and I'm like leading you and you can't get to the water, I'm usually a no. I'm like, if you cannot get yourself over it, I cannot be carrying you this entire time that you're on the team. Like, you've got to at some point like try to step in. But I do try to like get people there, and I do try to like relax them by being a little more silly, and
Yeah.
like putting myself out in a silly position so that they might feel a little more relaxed and open about answering questions. But yeah, if they like cannot be led to, like if they can't drink the water after I've led them there over and over again, I'm usually like, I'm a no. I tried. I gave you
So,
everything I could.
do you think interviews are biased towards extroverts?
They are. They are. Yes, I think they are. And that's weird because like I'm an introvert. Like we know that. I'm a very big introvert. But if I am confident in what I'm doing or talking about, or like if you bring up something that I'm really, really confident in, like then I don't have any qualms being an extrovert. Like I will be silly, I will explain it to you. I go in interviews and I try to be like who I really am with my answers. Like if it's a serious question, I'm going to answer it serious, and then I might slip in some funny jokes because I'm going to be like, I'm really off the wall sometimes. Like I am serious and I am like getting things done, but I am very
Yeah.
goofy as well. And I want people to know that, because if you expect serious Lindsay all the time, you're not going to get it. You expect goofy Lindsay all the time, you're definitely not going to get that either.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but I do think, I say that, but there is like a fine line between extrovert and cockiness. And
Oh yeah,
I
for
feel
sure.
like you can read cockiness really, really well in an interview when you're talking to people. And I am just like, no, immediately. I don't care how extroverted you are. I don't care how great you are in paper. I don't care how great you answer questions. I'm immediately no. That hope that wasn't a question. I hope that wasn't
Or
one of your
like
scenarios
definitely
later.
not.
But
No.
I'm
No,
gonna.
you know what? I think honestly, we've talked about personality hires and then we've talked about, experience and all that. But I do think that part of being a hiring manager and part of interviewing is understanding the role that you're hiring for, right? And let's be honest, if you're hiring for a sales role, you're not going to find the same personalities as if you're hiring
Mm.
for an accounting role, right? Like the personalities differ a lot. And so sometimes I have to go in kind of prepared for that. Like, what is that going to look like? Because I don't expect everyone to laugh at my jokes. I'm not even like trying to make jokes, but it's like I want to find something that I can relate to the person about, right? And so I think it's really important that you understand the role that you're hiring for and that you're interviewing for. And so if that role requires you to be a little bit more extroverted, then I need you to put that energy in during your interview. And, if you know you're going to be behind a computer all day, like you're by yourself, you're just doing numbers and stuff like that, it's like, maybe I don't need my accountant to have all the best jokes. Maybe I just need them to make sure they have a lot of attention to detail and they know where my money is, right? So I do take those things into consideration when I'm interviewing. And sometimes I'm just like, they were kind of dry, but I think they can do the job.
Yeah.
So there's that. Okay. I think this one will be interesting. Um, the job hopper. 6 jobs, 6 years, excellent references, great personality. Hired or fired? Do you want me to go first?
I
Or
don't
do you
care.
want me
It's so hard not to answer immediately. I'm like,
I see you. I'm like, I see the answer in your eyes.
you can go first. I don't care. I know what I was gonna say.
So, I think today is job hopping the same red flag that it was maybe a couple of years ago? I don't think so. I think that today's workforce is a lot more different. I think that there's also acceptable explanations for going into different roles. Um, I think if you see that in a resume, it will be really important to ask some key questions in order to determine, okay, what caused the hopping. I'm prior military. I have a lot of friends that are, military spouses still. And I know that every couple of years, they're going to have a different place of employment. And it could be not even be in the same country, right? Um, there's physicians, there's travelers, we see travel healthcare. There's a lot of people that move to different roles. So there are industries that are very much you're going to be in a different location, especially now where people are self-employed a lot of times or they do a lot of freelance work. Um, I don't think that the job hopping is that much of a red flag to me. Granted, I want to see if are you going to different industries? How long have you been at these different roles? So that's kind of my thought process when I see this.
I do something similar to that. So, one of the things that I kind of evaluate, because obviously we're all young ones, is like, um, does it look like there was some type of like growth pattern trying to
Mhm.
happen?
Mhm.
So if I notice like every job you change is like a little bit of a growth habit or like a little bit better and better, and I can see that in the resume, I'm like, I'm totally good with interviewing. When I'm in an interview, I want you to own it. I want you to own the fact that you changed jobs with the actual reasons why you changed it. And whatever reason you have, it cannot be because you did not like your last employer, your manager was terrible. You gotta find something different about that, but still own that you did do that hopping. And then a lot of times you'll see like they're looking for growth opportunity or better their family or something along those lines. I lived in a small town. It was really hard to like get growth in a small town. And so you might see like people hopping from job to job trying to find that right thing. Cause like we all need to make money and we all need more money. We all need something that's stimulating and provides growth and things like that. And sometimes that comes from hopping. When I'm looking at it and I see job hopping within the same area, and
Hmm.
like lateral job hopping, like that's more of a red flag to me. Like, why are you laterally job hopping? Like, what's going on? To me, that looks like somebody who's just not fulfilled. So, if you're then trying to get a job with me doing the same thing that is a lateral hopping all over your resume, I don't think I'm going to be the right call for you. Because you're not going to be happy if you can't be happy in all those other places doing the same thing you're doing here. I'm not sure that the work is right for you, right? Like that
Right.
role might not be right for you. So those are some of the things that I look for, but it is not an immediate red flag for me. If I can see, um, like so sometimes you'll see it like you'll see like steady work and then like some job hopping and maybe like they've been there at this new one for like a year, a couple of months, and now they're looking again. You might sometimes see that like, and that's just like a growth in their life, like right, like your resume will show kind of like what you've been doing for your life. And so they're not no's for me, right? They're definitely not no's. A lot of times, like you said, like there's reasons and there's stages, and I don't think that that's anything wrong nowadays with that. It's not, when our grandparents were in work and you stayed there for 45, 50 years and you never
Right.
changed your job and things like that. Like I don't expect that from people. I like people who were like trying to grow, trying to better themselves, trying to do more or something like that. Like, so I don't, it's not a red flag for me. It's definitely something I talk about and I will ask that. And like I'll point blank, like be like, I see that you changed jobs a lot. Like, what's going on? Sometimes it'll be more subtle. Please, what is the question? Like, why did you leave this position, or how did you get that next position? Like things like that. I might ask and kind of assess like what they were trying to do as well. And sometimes I might point blank ask, be like, hey, you've changed a lot of jobs. And this is something I'll say. I'm like, you've changed a lot of jobs and they all seem to be in the same industry. Like, why, what makes you think that this role would be different if it's the same as the other ones that you weren't happy with? Sometimes I'll ask that. If they made it to me in an interview, I'll ask that question.
Yeah.
Like, what is it that drove you to come here versus where you were? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. Um, yeah, but it's not like a big red flag for me. I know a lot of people who like nix it right away, and I don't. I do look and just kind of see like, was there growth? Was there something else that might be happening around that situation that caused it for sure?
I think I think it has definitely changed for me over the years. I think obviously with self-growth comes growth in being able to hire and look at resumes and to understand the industries that you're in. I think it's important to understand again what you're hiring for, who you're hiring for, um, and make an overall decision, not maybe just I think it's difficult at this stage to look at a resume and just be like, oh, 3, 4 jobs immediately. No, because there's so much more to a person than just what's on, I was going to say piece of paper, but on the screen, because we're typically not reviewing resumes on paper anymore. But there is so much more to a person. And it's especially now where you see layoffs or, you see companies acquiring different places, companies changing names. There's so much more that goes to it. And so my suggestion would be if maybe you're hiring, is to take a couple of minutes to phone screen that person, right? Before you do a formal interview, do a phone screen, verify, ask the questions like, hey, like I noticed there's a couple of different jobs, right? And if you are the person who is going to be interviewing, maybe in your resume, just a quick blurb right next to that job,
Yes.
like, hey, this was a layoff, right? Or company was acquired. 'Cause a lot of times when a company is acquired, they don't keep the staff that,
Hmm.
you know, so I think something very quick that when someone is glancing at those resumes, they can kind of look and be like, oh, okay, that explains it. Let's move on to the next phase.
I do think another red flag for me is probably people who not don't necessarily job hop, but like that every 3 to 5 year itch switch that happens on a resume. That can be an interesting play. Or like somebody who has longevity at every job sounds like it'd be great, but that also means that they're very rigid and set in their way. So depending on what like you need for your team, like a small team in a growing company that everybody's kind of doing things and helping and it's not very structured and somebody comes from a very structured job that they were at for 10, 15 years, that's a shock. That's a
Yeah.
shock. If you're not prepared for that, that's a shock, right? Like, so that can be, depending on what you need, that can almost be like a red flag where you like really need to assess if that is a good match for that person through explanation and stuff. So the reverse can be true as well too. So, and not that you shouldn't hire somebody with longevity. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like that could be
Plot
something, or like
twist.
that, yeah, that 3 to 5 year itch where they're just like, I get burnt out or I get bored. That was me at one point. I'd be
Yeah.
like, I'm bored. I'm bored at this job. I've got it. I nailed it. I need something different
Yeah.
in the past.
That's fair.
Not the case now. I've been here for a really long time at this point. But yeah,
Uh, Final round, social media. Everything has gone perfectly, then someone checks public social media. There are political arguments, rude comments, posts complaining about previous employers, hired or fired.
uh,
I already know my face is going to look great in one of those screen captures. With this one, I so I'm interested to see what you say. I am probably more notorious for not looking at social media, and I'm just like, it's a, you
I
know,
think it's because we're millennials and we're like, what? I'm supposed to go check their profile. People ask me
yeah,
all the time, like, did you look at them on social media? What? No,
yeah,
I don't care. I don't
I,
care.
I,
I probably do care. I don't know, but I never think to go look ever,
yeah,
ever. Come
it
ask me to
is
hire you because I'll
not,
never look.
it is not my first go-to. I honestly don't think like, let me go look. And honestly, I guess the question is it fair for employers to look at social media?
I So I am the same way as you, right? And maybe that's something that I need to work on because the next generation is going to be looking at those kind of things. So that's probably like something I need to invest more time into understanding. I'm not a social media looker either. I am a firm believer in like whatever you do, and whatever I do, and we're like two different people and we come to work together. But there are times that that's not okay. Like
Yeah.
there are times that that is not okay. So I am not 100% like, you do whatever you want. Like it's totally fine. No. If you are representing your company at any point in time on anything, then your social media matters.
Yeah.
Um, so there are some times that like that is important. I'm not gonna lie. It's just not the first thing that I think of because I haven't hired for roles where that forward facing matters as much, right?
Mhm.
I personally have not hired for a whole lot of executive roles where that would be important, right? My hiring's not there. So to me, most of the people that I've hired for, their social media doesn't matter to me. Like you do, you boo. Like that's how I feel. And do I think it's fair? I mean, it's a huge debate. It's a huge debate. I think one of the things that everybody needs to realize is what you put online is there and people are
It is
going to
there.
judge you for it, right? None of my social media is hidden. I am not a private social media person. I also don't post on social media a lot. So there's that.
Mhm.
So yes, you're gonna find me on social media. Yes, I actually do have quite a bit of stuff on social media. Like I have quite a few things on YouTube. Like I guess you could probably figure out a lot about me by doing those kind of things. But I don't post consistently about my personal life on there. So you're probably not gonna find a whole lot about me personally. You're gonna know that I go to Disney a lot. Like if you find me, you're gonna find me that I'm at Disney a lot. So there's that. But I don't know. What do you think?
I agree. I think that honestly, having become a mom several years ago, I think I mean, sometimes, so let's be honest, like when those reminder posts come up on Facebook from 10,
Oh,
15
right?
years ago, I'm like, oh my gosh, why was
Oh.
I allowed on social media? Because I mean, I think when, which aging myself.
I
But
know. I'm like, mine was like, I
when
ate a sandwich today. Back when Facebook was like Twitter, sorry, like X, like
MySpace, it's like,
randomly.
of course I have coding experience. I use MySpace.
Oh.
Um, you know, I don't think at that point in time we realized the digital footprint that was
Mhm.
going to be left behind, and it's now that you're just like, oh wow, like it's there. Once it's there, it's there. Um, and I think maybe it's generational too. I think that I'm going to look a lot more at like someone that's my age at what they posted because I feel like we didn't know any better. And now we know. But now we know. And so I feel like for the new, generations, they're going to grow up in a different world than we did. And they're going to grow up in a different environment in terms of work as well. Like there's so many different things that you see now or styles of communication that you're like, hey, when I was first entering the workforce, like
Mhm.
they were not tolerated, they were not accepted. And times change, right? With social media, I think it's going to depend on your role. Are you going to in a marketing role? Are you going to be a, social media manager? Are you going to be representing your company legally? Like, are you an attorney? Are you a physician? Are you a nurse? I think those things now matter a lot, right? In roles
Yeah.
that you're maybe supposed to be kind of a little bit more middle of the ground in terms of how you treat others and your ideas. And so I think it's definitely like a hot topic.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's not my go-to because I feel like I want to talk to the person and understand. But then it comes to that debate. It's like, are you who you presented yourself in the interview to be, or are you who you are when you post 500 times a day and give your opinions on things that did not mesh with what I was asking you during the interview? Um, so I think there's two sides to that coin.
Yeah, I mean, we both know that everybody on our team who's younger than us, they 100% go snooping on people's social media, 100%. And they bring it to us all the time because, like, that's just not our go-to. I mean, there are things that you can do, like make your social media private,
But
right?
that's a valid concern. If you're making a hiring decision that makes team members uncomfortable, then you have to take that into consideration because
Yeah,
at the end of the day, if they were fully comfortable and it wasn't going to destroy the dynamic of the team, it wouldn't be brought up to your attention. So I think that is something to consider. Like,
it is.
and
It is.
maybe if you're not into social media sleuthing, like it's like, tap in one
Yeah,
of
one of
your
those,
your
yeah, it's one
other
of those young
people.
ones to do over.
Be
They
like,
do it
hey,
all the time.
I need to do
It's
some
so funny.
recon.
Yeah. Yeah, it is pretty funny because like it's just definitely not my go-to and it is definitely theirs for sure. Which actually brought me to a question that I don't remember even now. I like thought of it three times, but I don't know. We'll just have to. Oh, do you think employers should be friends with employees on social media? Like what is your dynamic? I'm not friends with anybody. We both know this. Like she and I aren't even friends on most social media because like I don't friend
I
anybody
have
on
not
social
made the
media.
cut.
It's not my thing. Like I just don't connect with my coworkers on social media. It's just always been my thing. LinkedIn is one thing because that is definitely meant to be professional and I will connect with you all day long on LinkedIn. But on my personal, like I typically try to keep that line between like myself and my coworkers. Like, what do you think about that? Like, is that okay to blur that line? How does that work in your opinion? That
I
that's
don't
a twist bonus question because like I didn't she was not prepared for me to ask
I
her
was
that.
not friend. To be honest, I'm probably my most raw and honest with you anyway. I don't think that there's anything that you would see on social media, like in terms of conversations that we have that we haven't already have. And you're probably like, I will say social media is in a personal sense, I live far away from a lot of family. And so for me, I do keep a lot of it private in terms of it's the fastest way for me to get, have family members that are not close to me, geographically, get to be a part of watching my kids like grow up. And that's really kind of what I use it for. Obviously, in terms of business or whatnot, it's a different thing. But I am not someone who wears their heart on their sleeve like on social media. And it's like these are my thoughts for the day. It's just not my style. And so I think that I I don't know. Being HR, I feel like in past roles and so forth, it's I think very quick. I am the one who gets nixed off of other people's social media in the event of a termination or separation of employment. Obviously, it depends the reason for the separation, right?
I would never be like, let me connect with my HR person. Honestly, most of the time I'm like, who's HR? Who's my
You
HR
want to say
person?
HR? What does
Like when I
HR
was
stand
younger, I'd be like, who's the HR person again? Who do I talk to about insurance? Can somebody
what
explain
is
this
it
to
that
me?
they do? So
Why
I
are they
think
here?
that those things are, I don't know. I think it really just depends on the relationship and I think it depends on the team, right? Like if you have a close-knit team, um, we spend a lot of time together talking, bouncing ideas off each other. And I want to see their pups, their kids, like the places that they check out, especially on a remote team where you don't see them every day. And it's like, what cool things are they up to today? And so I enjoy, getting that kind of ability to connect, and seeing them just interact with family and friends and all those things. Do I expect it? Do I feel like my feelings are hurt if we're not friends on? No, it's like kind of to each their own. And I very much feel like when important things happen and someone truly wants to share them, they will take the steps to share them with you personally, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, it doesn't bother me one way or the other. I don't think it's necessarily frowned upon to do it, but it's going to be your level of comfort. Some people need the separation. Some people are
Yeah.
like, "Hey, I talk to
I'm
these
those
people
people.
all day."
Again,
Yeah.
I'm an
Yeah.
introvert, so like for me, the separation is there, right? But like it is cool because you're right. As an all remote team, it is cool that we can connect. Like there's social media nowadays, and like well, first of all, I guess back in the day there would never been a remote team. Like you literally had
Yeah.
to come
Yeah.
in the office. But it does allow us to like be part of our team's lives if we want. But I am definitely an introvert, so like naturally I'm on social media like I show up in life.
I think,
I'm
I
not
feel
gonna
like
lie.
I identify myself more as probably introverted. Isn't there a new one? It's like you're not introverted, not extroverted, you're in
Right,
the
like
middle.
this.
I can't think of
Yeah.
what it is. I'm probably right in the middle, right? I think with the people I'm closest to, I feel like I'm very extroverted. I'm obviously opinionated, all those things. But I'm a lot more of an observer. So like
Yeah.
social media to me, I love it because like I get to observe you from afar. That
Yeah, you get to
sounds
be
very
part. Yeah,
creepy.
but it's true because you love to be able to. You care very deeply about the team and
hmm
whatever team that you're on, and you're a very caring, deeply caring person. And so for you, it's a way for you to show
Yeah.
that you
Yeah.
care deeply, whereas I care, but I am still, there is a line. I'm a
There is,
very big
yeah.
divider,
Yeah.
mainly because I'm not on social media. I am on social media because it's crazy because I veg on social media all the time, but I don't actually post on social media.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm an observer, but
I
not.
think if you're like, I want to know all her hopes and dreams in life, social media is not the place that you're going to find that out about me at all, right? If you want to know like the things that I think are pretty and take, pictures of, like, yeah, you can definitely see that there. But so I think it just kind of depends on the type of social media user you are. Um, I love to read long captions detailing everybody's life. I will not do the same. Like, I will not reciprocate that way because I am more private and introverted in that way. Um, you know, I think it'd be interested to know how many times people agreed with us or didn't during,
Yeah.
this thing. I think it is funny with hiring because even you and I disagree on a lot of things. And I think it's exactly what happens in organizations. You're going to disagree during hiring processes. And I don't think there's a perfect science or tool or anything that's going to tell you this person is your person, right? I think if there were, we'd all be a lot better matched too in life. There is no clear, definitive way to say this person is great. And I think it is important for hiring managers to have those different opinions and to disagree, knowing that the goal isn't going to be, I want this person to be perfect. It's going to be, I want to give this person the best chance possible consistently.
Yeah. And the best person for your team to work with your other team to do what you need. And you can't, if you let one person hire everybody, everybody's hired this, everybody looks the same.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
it's so important to have that diversity for sure. And if you guys are struggling to hire, Nicole and I are definitely here. We can either help you walk through the process, we can sit in the hiring interviews with you, we can help you source and find candidates and look at resumes and all those things if you want to reach out. We do have our booking link in the show notes, along with we'd love to hear your comments, drop them down in the videos, let us know what you thought about this. All right. Well, Nicole, this one was really, really fun. So I'm so glad that you came up with this idea. So that was a lot of fun. So I'm really excited. Hopefully we can do more of these in the future. But today that's all we have for you, and we will see you guys again.